Hello everyone. Welcome to a presentation by the Privileged Membership Club of the Digital Retail Convention, brought to you by the Images Group. Today we are meeting the CEO of one of our illustrious club members, Mr. Sanjeev Rao of Being Human Clothing. The company has been taking the fashion retail industry by storm with its innovative approach to business, a unique combination of head and heart, if I can say that. So, without further delay, let me welcome my guest. Welcome, Sanjeev, to the first of our series where we speak to change makers in Indian retail.
Thank you, Taladama. Thank you so much. It's a privilege to be here. It's a privilege to be a part of, the Images Group. And once again, thank you for inviting me.
Thank you so much for your time. So, I think we'll just get started with my questions and so we can hear your stories. So I know that you just come back from a hectic tour of opening new doors, and Being Human Clothing is going through a growth spurt. How are you choosing your markets in India and abroad?
Well, this is an interesting question. Having spent 30 years in retail and having seen some phenomenal growths of brand and not so phenomenal growths of brand, we at Being Human are very, very clear that we will only get into markets which are profitable for us and which serves a purpose for us. And that purpose can be many. For example, we look at profitable stores on one side, and on the other side, we also understand if there is a market which has a need for fashion clothing, which is still not served, and after that it makes sense, it makes profitability, then we also look at those stores. However, if I take a thumb rule, we are definitely seeing a very high movement in tier 2, tier 3 cities of India. So for me, as I always have been saying for the last a couple of years, that Bharat is on the move, and Bharat is actually is growing by leaps and bounds, and that's exactly where we are positioning ourselves. Not to say that we are not there in the main cities or in the capitals of states. We are definitely there, but we choose our locations primarily from a profitable angle. Yeah.
Right. It's interesting that you mentioned your tier 2, tier 3 growth because I've been really curious to know. I know that they've been doing outstanding business, and at the same time, you've been opening stores across continents. So tell us how the Being Human story is being carried through these different geographies and varied cultural demographics. Is there a single thread that kind of appeals universally, or are you consciously choosing aspects to highlight different parts of the brand story to different sets of consumers?
So, Taladama, see, the way we look at Being Human is that there is a common thread which goes through the brand, and that common thread is actually a very purpose-led thread. We are a brand with a purpose. Every single SKU that we sell, whatever amount of profits that we make, all goes back into CSR, and it goes back into healthcare, it goes back into education, so on and so forth. We are very, very clear that we want to expand to geographies where there is a need for fashion, also to geographies where we have a very large, large scale ethnic population living. Now, this is outside India. When I say ethnic population living, we are looking at mostly the Indian diaspora. We are looking at the Asian diaspora and the Middle East diaspora. So wherever these diasporas are there, we are definitely plonking our stores. However, for us, the large the large scale vision is to establish this brand as a brand which gives back to the society. So whenever you buy from Being Human, you can be rest assured that every single rupee that we make profit out of, some or the other way finds its way back into the society. So as I always say, we have a conscious circle of Being Human, and then we have the business circle of the Being Human. The business circle is to generate the revenues and the profitabilities, and the conscious circle is to consciously put it into activities which not only help the underprivileged, but also help, Mother Earth or this planet in some or the other way. And we are doing a little bit. We know that we cannot change, everything, but we are doing our part.
Right. That's fantastic as an objective. But do you ever feel that being a pure market-driven fashion brand, following the trajectory of a brand like that, would have made more financial sense, or as opposed to being a brand with a conscience, or is it the opposite, that being human pays off better than being business-like?
Well, you see, it all works. It all works for us because on one side we are giving you guiltless shopping. On the other side, guiltless shopping gives us more business. More business gives us more profitability. More profitability that makes us do more CSR. So that is exactly the trajectory that we are taking, and it kind of helps everybody.
Being Human is a homegrown brand which is now just like taking pretty big steps out into the world outside.
Yeah.
So, drawing from that, India has been a fertile ground for sourcing by fashion giants for years. Yet, we don't have like a single homegrown fashion brand that has taken the world by storm. What do you think has been the hurdle? And do you see Being Human clothing breaking through that pattern because of its brand premise of social responsibility or for any other reason?
The way we look at it is that today there are no boundaries. Earlier brands used to say that first let us saturate India as a market. Once we saturate India as a market, then we'll start looking out. Most of the time, brands were very, very kind of bounded by rules, regulations of the management, saying that you cannot move out of the country until unless you have saturated the country. And yes, we also believe that India is huge. India, to saturate the market of India itself, takes decades for some brands. However, we have a slightly different take. We believe that in today's digital world, in today's fast-paced, digital environment, it doesn't really matter, because we are a made in India brand, who's established globally and spreading the message of giving back, and that's what we are all about. So if you actually look at our tagline, we always talk about love, care, share, joy, and hope. And love, care, share, joy, and hope does not have any boundaries. And we believe that in our expansion plans, we believe that in our strategy, and it doesn't really. And wherever we go, even our global franchisees believe that this is the right way forward.
I'm curious. I mean, the brand objective has got some pretty large objectives which are global in nature or just very large philanthropic ideas. In your tier 2 and tier 3 cities, the consumer, what appeals to them about your products? Do they get this story, or is it the product itself, or is it the Salman Khan story, or why are they buying into it? Tell us
See,
some stories from small town.
yeah. So there are. It's technically right now it is a mix of everything, if you ask me. Well, we can't shy away from the fact that this entire Being Human initiative, clothing initiative, has always been the dream for the family. They technically wanted a brand which can fuel growth so that they can fuel the CSR growth. So there is an element of Salman in it. There is definitely a element of CSR in it. And not to forget that we are none less than any other fashion brand when it comes to delivering fashion. Whether it is for the Gen Z or the millennial crowd, we are seeing a very, very steady upside on our numbers. We are seeing a very steady acceptance of the kind of fashion that we are bringing onto the table. We will not call ourselves a street fashion brand, but we are definitely in the fashion and fashion core part of it. Uh, and we are loved by the millennials, and the Gen Z, typically uh, is gyrating towards what we produce as fashion, and that's what makes us go. So yes, you're right. It's currently in the steady state situation. It is a mix of everything. It is a mix of everything.
Wonderful. And what about in Bangladesh or in Canada, where you're saying that you're going to be opening
Well,
stores soon? What is the consumer profile there? And tell us some stories or experiences that you've had in opening these latest doors. I
Yeah.
know that there are some, like, you've had people coming in droves into the new stores and phenomenal opening sales and things like that. So tell us a little bit about those customers over there.
Yes. So, in other countries, in neighboring countries, let's say, for example, we just launched Bangladesh. So we were very sure that this brand is known in Bangladesh, and it's known very well because we used to see people coming down from Bangladesh to Kolkata and buy our brands, and then they used to go back. But this time when we opened the store, right from the time that the store was being set up, people used to come and take selfies outside the store while the store was under a project phase.
Wow.
That told us very clearly that there is a very close connection with the brand and the people of Bangladesh. Bangladesh is very, very similar to India. It's been a friendly neighborhood. Bangladesh has been, the per capita GDP of Bangladesh is seeing some phenomenal growth. The middle class of Bangladesh, which was not there earlier. Earlier, you had either the top level or absolutely the working class. But right now, we are seeing a huge amount of middle class coming up in Bangladesh and post the COVID. So we thought this is the right time for us to explore the market. And we put up our first store through our master franchisee in Bangladesh. And the results that came out was so satisfying that from 10 o'clock in the morning we had a 2 kilometer queue outside the store, people patiently waiting. And unfortunately, because of the press, there were more than 100 plus press which was covering the event. We were only able to open the door at about 3:30, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So just imagine, the customers were standing from 10 o'clock to about 3:30, 4 o'clock, patiently waiting to get into the store. And the best part was that we send in stocks for about 2 months. And currently, I think today is the sixth day of the from the launch. The store is nearly over. The merchandise is over, and we are resending the merchandise. So that has been a phenomenal amount of love that has been given to us by the Bangladeshi people. Their love for our brands, their love for Bollywood, their love for Salman Khan, and not to forget, we always believe that this brand sells for Salman. Yes, it is supported by Salman Khan, and his aura definitely is there in the brand. But also never forget that continuous sales and upswings in sales over years do not happen with just this. It happens because you have a right pricing, your merchandise is right, your placement is right, your marketing is right, and that all put together gives you a phenomenal growth. So Bangladesh has been a phenomenal growth. By the time we could just finish the first launch, we have lined up 4 more stores in Bangladesh, out of which probably 2 will be in Dhaka, and balance 2 will be outside of Dhaka, and probably I think Narayanganj and Chittagong. So that is what we are looking at, or maybe Sylhet. So that has been the story so far for our launches outside India. Going forward, we are lining up quite a bit of action in Canada. We are building up some stores, some entries into Dubai, Abu Dhabi, and the GCC and the other parts of GCC. So yes, slow and steady, we are moving up there, and that typically is, we're just getting warm now. So yes, that's the story.
So during the opening of the Bangladesh store, in the Dhaka store, you would have had some celebrities from the Khan family who would
Yes.
come
So
down.
Mr. Sohail Khan, who is Salman Khan's brother, came in for the inauguration. There were more than about 800 to 900 people lined up outside the store, other than the customers
I see.
who wanted a glimpse. It was a phenomenal launch. The press was extremely, supportive, and the amount of patience that the press had was something that we could never imagine. And it was a great launch. People loved them, and you have to understand that Bangladesh per se has always been known as a manufacturing hub for apparel. However, from a brand perspective, it was never, brands never thought that, should we go to Bangladesh and open? Some brands did, but now I think Being Human has broken that barrier, because the people of Bangladesh are no less than people of India, and specifically Dhaka has a lifestyle, and all the young millennials who had gone abroad to study have all come back into Dhaka city. They are doing startups. They understand the way the world is moving, and they're absolutely, it's as good as any other international city.
So, moving away from your new store openings, I wanted to get your opinion on this. Patagonia recently, the sportswear fashion brand, has set an example with its announcement that its founder and his family are giving away their ownership to benefit climate change. So, is that something that was a wow moment for a company like yours or for retail in general? And will this pave the way for a new paradigm for companies that are genuinely interested in mixing business with advocacy? I ask you this because you are in that space already.
It's extremely important for brands to understand the purpose. So, yes, there are international brands who are purpose driven. In India, everybody talks about CSR, but I really don't know how much of CSR is actually happening, specifically in the apparel fashion space. Now, yes, there are organizations, they are very large conglomerates in India who do a huge amount of work towards CSR. But typically, coming down to fashion brands, I think what has happened is something. I mean, giving away your entire wealth for climate change is phenomenal. Very few people have that kind of will and willingness to do, until unless they really care, for this planet. We do. We definitely, we welcome these kind of gestures which are there, and we hope that more and more brands in India would look at some or the other ways to do something for this planet, to do something for the underprivileged and the deserving. Honestly, till now, until unless Elon Musk finds, or any other organization finds another planet, we just have this planet, and let's do whatever we can in our own little ways to save it, and to, of course, save mankind, save the human population. Do something for people who deserve much more than what they are getting, and that's the very reason that we have a brand name called Being Human, because end of the day, whatever we do, the way we see things is all from a being human way. So our way is the being human way, and that's what I think. Patagonia, I mean, it's ultimate. I really don't know whether there'll be a time when Being Human would be able to do that, because we want to continue the journey to keep doing good for the society. But yes, it's extremely inspiring to see brands taking these kind of stands, and I wish there's more to come. There's more to come. Yeah.
I know that your company is already doing a lot in terms of the work for society in general through your business, and you've had a consistent policy of having differently abled store staff. What can you elaborate a little bit about that policy, and do you recall any individuals who you may have interacted with and whose stories stunned you while?
Yes. Yes. So we have a policy wherein we employ specially abled people into our store. These specially abled people are trained in retailing. They are made to understand. Very shortly, you will see that we are also putting up all the sign languages, how you can communicate with the deaf and dumb, specially abled people in our store. Uh, and let me tell you, Talatma, it's so heartening that today, when I look at a specially abled employee in my store, that person's contribution and not that my other store staff don't contribute, but these people have a innate sense of detailing which they bring about in the store. And some of the stories are so emotional that there are times when the specially abled people have gone beyond their capacity to deliver excellence in the retail store, which probably I can't expect any other normal person to also do. It happens probably because they are very very connected, and all their senses are focused towards how do I make the consumer happy. Again, not that my other store staff are not, but these guys are a notch higher. They are a notch higher because I think their other senses get very elevated when they lose one, and we are so happy with them. Not only with specially abled people, but we have already brought in a policy where we are absolutely open to diversity and inclusion. We are now looking at the LGBTQ community. We absolutely are recruiting people from there with absolutely no biases, and we are ensuring that their acceptance is as normal as anybody else's, because at the end of the day we are all being human, and that's where it all stacks up. So yes, there's a lot happening. There's we have just launched our new collection called Blur, which is a gender neutral collection. We are probably the first fashion brand in India to launch Blur. So I would request everybody watching this program to go to our stores and see Blur. It's a complete gender neutral fashion line that we have done.
Yeah, we have to normalize diversity, I think, as that should be a general thing anyway.
Absolutely.
Coming to the pandemic, over the last 2 years, the pandemic changed many things. Retail, especially, the companies scrambled to adapt during the pandemic. Apparently, some new formats came up which succeeded. But now, again, many of the older formats are reviving, and I imagine retailers are again redefining their operating procedures. What would you say has been the highlight of your company's new normal strategy?
Well, our new normal has been that you know uh, the population has kind of skipped and jumped over to more of the digital space. While I say digital space, it doesn't mean that the physical space is not working anymore. Of course, it is working, but the physical space has become more of a phygital space, and every single store has some amount of digitality about it. There's 5 years back, 8 years back, we were talking about omni-channel retailing. Omni-channel has now become a part and parcel of our day-to-day living. There's nothing surprising about it. All our stores have become last mile delivery points to consumers. I think i think the consumers have realized the fact that you know uh, uh, it's how we put it as the single view of the customer. It is the same customer who goes to the store and shops. It's the same customer who shops digitally. It's the same customer who goes to a store, orders, and wants it couriered to his or her house. So the whole society is getting into a very hybrid mode, and that is the change that is happening. And what we believe is the faster you adapt to this change, the faster you kind of get into the new normal. So yes, on one side there is this mad rush to be digitally enabled. However, on the other side, I also personally believe that the romanticism of shopping in a physical shop is not going to go away. So the physicality of retail will remain, and the digital, I mean, I don't know whether it's the right term to use, but the digital cacophony will come down over a period of time and settle down in a very steady rhythm, whereby the physical retail and the digital retail both will survive. So that is how we are coping up as a brand. We are seeing our numbers are clocking better than pre-COVID numbers right now. And let me just tell you that it's not about revenge shopping anymore. Revenge shopping is over and done with. The consumers have realized that, they need to live the good life.
Right. And as a business leader, describe one way you have changed or adapted over the pandemic.
Well, I think as a business leader, I have become more accepting of facts. Uh, as a business leader, I have realized over the last 30 years to what I compare myself now is that, uh, with more and more millennials joining the organization, and they have very little patience in terms of what we used to have earlier. We used to look at promotions happening every 4 years once. Now they expect it every year. So that's what, as a leader, I'm trying to cope up with. I'm trying to cope up with expectations of the millennial workforce. I'm able to understand that, what used to take 6 months to do now takes 6 days to do, if the right amount of digitization is used, if the right amount of go to market is used. We have seen that happening in our recent launch in Dhaka, where we have used minimal, outdoor advertising and a humongous amount of digital advertising. So yes, as a leader, I think the world is moving at a fast pace, and we need to adapt to it as we go along, and accept these new normals. And these new normals are very, very important for us to understand. Very important for us to understand that our workforces are getting younger; they are not getting older. And as the workforce becomes younger, it's extremely important to keep them engaged, because in today's date, engagement for the millennial workforce is very different from when we started working, a couple of decades back.
So, talking about the Gen Z and the millennials, I know that you're a dad and you have a Gen Z at home. And I would imagine that sustainability, gender neutrality, climate change, all of these things would be talked about in your home like it is in mine by our children, and now we are learning from them. So, how are you transplanting those thoughts? Is that where your ideas of sustainable clothing, gender neutral lines, are these coming from your environment that you're soaking in? Will season two of Being Human be a more woke version of what it was in season one, so as to make the millennials and the Gen Zs as your brand ambassadors?
Yes, I think what you're saying is, to a large extent, right, because we are soaking in so much in today's date, and most of the time we don't realize that, what we are soaking in is actually the truth, because sometimes translating what we soak in to execution never happens. We all talk about it. It's a very nice, discussion point in a panel, but what we don't realize is this is the reality. And until unless you do not absorb the reality and put it on an execution strategy, it becomes very difficult, and you just keep talking about it. We at Being Human believe in terms of more execution of all of these ideas and thoughts, and we keep soaking in, whatever that we feel is happening all around us, whether it is the ease of shopping, whether it is acceptability of certain type of gender neutral clothing, whether it is about giving back to nature, society, healthcare, education. So every single day in today's date has become a learning. So for me, no 2 years have been the same. Every year has brought about some amount of distinct change that was very, very different from the previous financial year. Numbers, revenues, all of that, I believe, is a derivative of how you understand society and deliver to society.
You are one of our privileged membership club members. So I wanted your input on what part of this community initiative by Images Group excites you the most. What do you think you will take away from this membership besides the practical bits of all the deliverables that we are offering you? What is it that would be very exciting for you as a member?
I think this privileged membership club is probably the first time that that somebody has tried to bring in the thought leaders to one platform. See, we attend so many seminars, we attend conclaves abroad, we attend so many of images conclaves here in India. There are so many more. But what happens is, people come in, people discuss, people share their views, and then they're out. Then nobody knows what's happening till you meet again after 1 year. But what I've seen about this whole initiative, which technically you're leading, and there's a humongous amount of thought which has gone behind bringing this club together, is if every single person who's a part of this club, decides on an initiative that can be done through this privileged club for mankind, maybe to start with in India, will be great, because we are all bounded by a certain amount of pull that y'all are creating. For example, we might have a privileged member conference happening only for the privileged members, and discussing the way forward, how all of us, including the images group, can be a part of a much more larger cause. Right. And those are the things that we look forward to. And I believe that, this is the right platform, because the amount of engagement that I've seen happening is I've not seen any other, retail club or privileged member club that y'all are creating. And this privileged member club, I would again like to say, it's not about meeting over cocktail and dinner. This is more, this is more to ideate. This is more to put out what each one feels. However, as a club, I think your duty and the management's duty becomes very important to bring about certain drives that this privileged club can do. And if those drives are acceptable by all the other privileged club members, then I think that will be the biggest achievement that we can actually, maybe however small that it might be, but let's do a start. And that I believe purely can happen from this platform.
Excellent. Those are really good thoughts, and I have you on record now. So
yes, you do.
So I think most of the questions that I had have been answered brilliantly by you, and the stories have been exciting to hear. But I have one last question, which is very personal. What does being human mean to you personally, as an adjective?
See, I want to be a little, I want to be, since you asked me a personal question on a public platform, but then I would equally give you what I feel. See, I've been working now for 3 decades in retail. I've worked under some very great retail leaders. I have seen some massive motivational leadership, which propelled me to think, fight, hunger for. This is the first time I'm working for a brand which selflessly does not think about itself. It thinks about others. This is the first time I felt that I'm doing something which I would cherish throughout my life. If you ask me the kind of brands I've worked for, it's some of the best brands in India in retail. What reminds me of those brands are the great bosses that I worked for. When and if I leave this brand over, maybe after growing this to whatever limits, whatever visions that we have as a family, I would like to just, and I would surely have this feeling that I've done something good, not for myself personally, but something good that I can die with. It's that kind of a feeling. I mean, it's selfless. Honestly, if I tell you how I feel, it's absolutely selfless. And that's what keeps us going. That's exactly what keeps us going.
So you're signing off by saying that being human to you means being selfless.
Yeah.
And personal. Yeah. That's what you believe.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Wonderful. This has been a really rewarding exchange for me, Sanjeev.
Thank
Lots
you.
of insights, some fantastic stories.
Thank you.
And
Thank you.
we wish Being Human Clothing much luck and much more success, more and more success. I
Thank
hope
you.
it becomes a global trendsetter.
That's
And
our aim. That's our aim. We want to take this message across the globe. We want to be the first small made in India brand which makes a mark across every single city, town, country across the world. And that's what we are gunning for.
yeah, the belief that businesses can be human is, I think,
Yes.
something to hang on to by all of us.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
you're carrying the slogan on your entire brand story. We will
Yes.
definitely want to follow your story and the story of Being Human Clothing over the
Sure.
next years.
Sure.
And thank you so much for sharing all your experiences and thoughts and vision with us.
Thank
Thank
you. Thank you so much for having me over. Thank you so much.
thank you.